My beloved child, something happened last night. A quiet moment passed that almost no one noticed. The world kept moving. The lights stayed on. People slept. But something gentle stood between you and a path you were never meant to walk. You did not see it. You were not supposed to. There are moments that cannot be measured by clocks. Only by the peace that follows them. And this is one of those moments. You may have woken up feeling different today. Not because everything changed, but because something unseen quietly shifted around you. Can you feel it? A small pause inside your heart. A question with no clear answer. There is a reason for that. But another layer is waiting. Have you ever wondered why some plans suddenly fall apart? Why certain doors close without warning? Why a call never comes? Why a delay changes everything? It can feel disappointing. It can even feel unfair. Yet sometimes the greatest kindness arrives wearing the clothes of confusion. Not every closed door is a loss. Some are quiet acts of protection. You may not understand why one path disappeared. Not today. Perhaps not tomorrow. But another piece is still hidden. Last night, while the world rested, a quiet choice unfolded beyond your sight. Not a loud miracle. Not a flash across the sky. Just a peaceful whisper. A gentle hand guiding one tiny moment away from another. It seemed so small. Almost impossible to notice. Yet small moments often carry the greatest weight. Have you ever looked back on your life and realized that one simple change shaped everything that came after? Maybe this is another one of those moments. But the picture is still unfinished. There is something else. Sometimes protection does not feel like rescue. Sometimes it feels like waiting. Like silence. Like wondering if anyone hears your prayers. Those are often the hardest hours. Not because hope disappears, but because hope becomes quiet. Still. Quiet does not mean absent. It simply speaks in another way. And there is more to discover. There is a question resting inside you. What if I missed my chance? It visits many hearts. It arrives without invitation. But listen carefully. A missed path is not always a missed purpose. Some roads only seem beautiful from far away. Only later do we see what they were leading toward. Perhaps your story is being gently rewritten. Not erased. Rewritten. Another truth is waiting. There is one memory you still carry. You rarely speak about it. Yet it returns when the room becomes still. You wonder if it changed you forever. Maybe it did. But not in the way you think. Scars are not always signs of defeat. Sometimes they become quiet windows through which light finally enters. Could that be why you kept going even when you wanted to stop? The answer has not fully arrived yet. Before I continue, if this message is touching your heart, you are welcome to support this work with a super thanks. Only if it feels right for you. Now, let's continue. There is another detail you have not noticed. Protection is rarely loud. It often hides inside ordinary moments. A different route. A delayed reply. An unexpected meeting. A peaceful feeling that tells you to wait just a little longer. Most people overlook these moments. But your heart has been learning to notice them. Slowly. Patiently. Without even realizing it. Still, one piece remains unseen. Imagine walking through a forest before sunrise. The path ahead is covered with mist. You cannot see very far. Yet each careful step reveals just enough ground for the next one. Life often moves the same way. You are not shown the whole road. Only enough for today. And somehow, that has always been enough. Though another question quietly rises. Why do you still feel uncertain? Because your heart wants complete answers. But complete answers would remove the need for trust. And trust grows one small step at a time. Never all at once. Perhaps that is why peace arrives before explanation. Not after. Still, the deepest part of this story remains hidden. There is someone you have been thinking about. Maybe often. Maybe only in quiet moments. Their place in your journey is not as simple as it seems. Some people arrive to stay. Others arrive to redirect us. The difference is rarely clear while we are living it. Only later does the pattern begin to appear. Yet even that pattern is only part of a greater design. Another layer waits beyond it. If your heart feels tired today, let it rest for a moment. Not because every question has been answered. They have not. But because hope does not require complete understanding. Sometimes hope is simply choosing one more peaceful breath. One more kind thought. One more sunrise. That quiet choice matters more than you know. Even now, something gentle continues working where your eyes cannot reach. And when the next piece comes into view, it will not arrive with noise. It will arrive with peace. For now, hold this thought close. The story did not begin last night. Last night was only the moment when an unseen chapter quietly turned. What happened before that? And what may unfold after? Belongs to a deeper part of the journey that has not yet revealed its full shape. That chapter is still waiting. The silence after that unseen chapter was not empty. It was full. Full of quiet movements that no eyes could follow. You may have believed nothing was changing. Yet the deepest changes often happen where no one is looking. Think about a seed beneath the ground. No applause. No bright light. Only patient growth. Could your own life be moving the same way? That question has been waiting for you. There is another reason your heart has felt so alert lately. Not because danger is everywhere, but because your spirit has been learning the difference between noise and peace. The loudest voice is not always the truest one. Sometimes truth arrives so softly that only a calm heart can hear it. Have you noticed how certain worries fade the moment you become still? Perhaps that is not an accident. Another piece is beginning to appear. Last night was not about changing your future in one dramatic moment. It was about one quiet turn. A gentle redirection. Like a river meeting a smooth stone. The water does not fight. It simply finds another way. And somehow, it still reaches the sea. What if your delays have been flowing towards something you cannot yet see? The answer remains just beyond the next bend. There is a habit you have carried for longer than you realize. You replay old moments. You ask yourself what you should have said. What you should have done. But listen. The past keeps knocking because it hopes you will finally forgive yourself. Not because it wants to trap you there. Can you imagine what your heart would feel like if it stopped carrying that weight? Another layer is waiting. Sometimes protection means removing something before you are ready to let it go. That friendship. That plan. That version of yourself you thought you needed. At first, the space feels uncomfortable. Almost too quiet. Then one day you notice something beautiful. Peace has room to breathe. And once peace enters, fear has less space to stay. Still, there is more you have not seen. Have you ever watched clouds move across the sky? For a moment they hide the sun. Then, without effort, they pass. The sun was never gone. Only hidden. Hope works the same way. It is not lost when your view becomes cloudy. It is simply waiting behind what cannot last forever. Perhaps that is why your heart keeps searching. Not because hope left. Because it is closer than it seems. But another question rises. Why did everything feel so close to falling apart? Because some foundations must be tested before they can hold greater joy. A bridge is trusted because it carries weight. Not because it never faced pressure. You have carried more than you realize. And somehow, you are still here. There is meaning in that. Even if you cannot name it yet. The greatest truth is still hidden. You may remember a day when something small changed your mood. A kind smile. A stranger opening a door. A simple message that arrived at the perfect time. Tiny moments. Easy to forget. Yet those moments often become quiet turning points. What if someone has been placing those gentle reminders in your path all along? Not to control your journey. Only to remind you that you never walk completely alone. Another piece remains. Your heart has been asking for certainty. But certainty is rarely the first gift. Peace often comes first. Then courage. Then clarity. In that order. Trying to reverse them only creates more fear. So perhaps today's invitation is not to solve everything. Perhaps it is simply to notice the peace already waiting beside you. Even now. Can you feel it? There is one final thought for today. Not an ending. Only another doorway. Last night, something was gently kept away from your path. You do not need to know every detail for that moment to have value. Some blessings remain quiet because they protect more than they explain. One day you may look back and smile at a moment that once confused you. You may finally understand why the delay happened. Why the silence lasted. Why the road curved when you wanted it to stay straight. Or perhaps you will simply feel grateful without needing every answer. That kind of peace cannot be forced. It arrives when the heart is ready. And yours is moving closer with every gentle step. Still. As this day unfolds, another unseen page is already beginning to turn. It carries a question that has not yet reached your lips. A meeting that has not yet happened. A choice that will seem ordinary. Yet its meaning stretches farther than you can imagine today. For now, let that mystery rest. Because the next quiet chapter has already begun. And what it will ask of your heart has not yet been revealed. Morning will come and go. The hours will seem ordinary. People will smile. Cars will pass. The wind will move through the trees. Nothing around you will announce that another quiet chapter has already begun. And yet, the smallest moments often carry the greatest meaning. There is something about today that cannot be measured by what you see. Another layer is waiting. Have you noticed how your heart pauses for reasons your mind cannot explain? A place feels different. A conversation stays with you. A simple word echoes long after it is spoken. These moments are easy to dismiss. But sometimes they are gentle invitations. Not to fear. Not to rush. Only to pay attention. Could one of those quiet moments already be waiting for you? The answer has not fully appeared. There is another truth that many people overlook. Protection is not always about changing the road. Sometimes it is about changing the person walking it. Strength grows quietly. Patience grows slowly. Wisdom often arrives after long seasons of waiting. Perhaps you have been changing more than you realize. Not because life became easier. Because your heart became steadier. Still, another piece remains hidden. Think back to a time when you almost gave up. You remember the wait. The questions. The silence. Yet somehow you found enough light to take one more step. Where did that strength come from? Maybe you called it hope. Maybe you called it faith. Maybe you never gave it a name at all. Whatever it was, it never truly left you. It has been walking beside you ever since. Another question is quietly rising. Why do certain memories return when everything becomes still? Not to reopen old pain. Not to keep you trapped. Sometimes they return because they hold one lesson you have not yet noticed. The event may be over. But the wisdom inside it is still unfolding. What if the memory is no longer your burden? What if it has become your teacher? The deepest part is still waiting. There will soon be a moment that feels almost too ordinary to matter. A choice between rushing and pausing. Between speaking and listening. Between holding on and gently letting go. No one around you will recognize its importance. But your heart will. That quiet choice may shape more than one single day. Still, its full meaning remains just beyond your sight. You have wondered why peace sometimes arrives without any explanation. It is because peace does not depend on knowing everything. It grows when the heart decides it no longer needs to fight every unknown. Imagine standing beside a calm lake at sunrise. The water reflects the sky because it is still. Not because the sky became closer. Perhaps your own heart is learning that same stillness. Another layer is beginning to unfold. There is someone whose kindness touched your life in a way they may never know. Maybe they spoke only a few words. Maybe they simply stayed when others walked away. Small acts. Quiet gifts. Their kindness became part of your story. Now consider this. How many times have your own quiet actions become hope for someone else without you ever realizing it? The answer may be greater than you imagine. But it remains unseen for now. As evening draws near, you may find yourself looking back over this day. Not searching for something dramatic. Simply noticing. A peaceful moment. An unexpected smile. A feeling that everything did not need to be solved today. Sometimes the greatest gift is not a clear answer. Sometimes it is a calmer heart. And that calm heart begins to recognize what it once overlooked. Still, one final doorway remains. Last night was never meant to become a story about fear. It became a story about care. About unseen grace woven into ordinary hours. About gentle guidance that never asks for applause. You may never know every detail of what was quietly turned away. And perhaps you do not need to. Because the greatest comfort is not knowing every hidden path. It is knowing that hope can walk beside you even when the road disappears into the distance. So carry this with you. When plans change. When delays come. When silence lingers a little longer. Do not rush to believe that you have been forgotten. Some of life's kindest moments arrive without introducing themselves. Even now, another quiet page is being written. A conversation has not yet reached your ears. A gentle realization has not yet reached your heart. A simple moment is moving toward you with perfect timing. When it arrives, it may seem almost ordinary. But somewhere deep inside, you will feel a quiet sense of peace that cannot be explained. And in that peaceful moment, you may remember that this story was never about discovering every hidden answer. It was about learning to recognize the quiet light that has been beside you all along. Even so, the next chapter has already begun turning. And its softest whisper has yet to be heard. The next morning did not arrive with thunder. It arrived with a whisper. The kind of whisper that cannot be heard with your ears. Only with a quiet heart. You moved through familiar moments. The same rooms. The same faces. The same sky above you. Yet something inside you was no longer exactly the same. A gentle shift had begun. And it was leading somewhere you could not yet see. Another layer is waiting. There are times when your heart notices something before your mind can explain it. A strange peace. A pause before making a choice. A feeling to slow down, even when the world tells you to hurry. Do not ignore those quiet moments. They are not trying to control your path. They are inviting you to walk through it with greater awareness. Have you ever looked back and realized that one calm decision changed everything that followed? Perhaps another one is closer than you think. But its purpose is still unfolding. There is something beautiful about light. It never argues with the darkness. It simply arrives. Little by little. Until what once seemed impossible to see becomes clear enough for the next step. Your journey has been moving like that. Not through force. Not through pressure. Through quiet light. And every day it grows just a little brighter. Still. The brightest part has not yet appeared. You have asked questions that no one else has heard. Questions whispered only in the silence. Am I heading the right way? Will this season ever make sense? Is there more waiting for me than I can see? Those questions are not signs of weak faith. They are signs of a heart that still believes there is meaning beyond the horizon. And hearts like that rarely stop searching. Another truth is beginning to rise. Imagine standing before a doorway in the early morning. It is closed. You do not know what is behind it. You could spend hours worrying about what you cannot see. Or you could prepare yourself for whatever waits on the other side. Sometimes the greatest preparation is not gathering more answers. It is becoming the kind of person who can receive them with peace. Perhaps that is what these quiet days have been shaping inside you. Yet the doorway remains unopened. There is a memory that no longer hurts the way it once did. Have you noticed? It still exists. But its sharp edges have softened. That is not because time erased it. It is because your heart has slowly grown stronger around it. Healing is often so gentle that we only recognize it after looking back. Could the same quiet healing be happening in places you have not yet noticed? Another piece is still hidden. Not every blessing enters your life as something new. Sometimes it arrives as a new way of seeing what has been with you all along. The friend you almost overlooked. The strength you forgot you carried. The mornings you woke up with another chance. The breath you took without thinking. Ordinary gifts. Extraordinary when viewed with grateful eyes. There is more beneath the surface. You may soon face a moment when your first reaction will be to worry. That is natural. But before fear speaks too loudly, pause. Take one slow breath. Remember this journey. Remember that not every unexpected turn is a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes life gently changes direction because your peace matters more than your plans. That quiet reminder may become more valuable than you realize. But its full meaning is still ahead. Have you ever watched birds rise into the morning sky? They do not carry maps. They do not demand certainty before they move. Step by step. Wing by wing. They trust the air beneath them. There is something deeply peaceful about that. Perhaps your heart has been learning the same quiet trust. Not perfectly. Simply one day at a time. Another layer is waiting. As this chapter continues, you may notice small moments that seem to glow a little differently. A kind word arriving exactly when you needed it. A smile from someone you did not expect. A delay that unexpectedly brings calm instead of frustration. Do not rush past these moments. They may seem ordinary. Yet ordinary moments often carry extraordinary reminders. Not because they explain everything. Because they gently strengthen your hope. Still, one question remains. If so much has been quietly happening around you, what is the one thing your heart has been preparing to recognize? Do not search too hard. Some answers are frightened away by hurry. They come closest when the soul is at rest. So keep walking. Keep noticing. Keep choosing peace over panic. Little by little, what once felt hidden begins to feel familiar. Not fully understood. Simply trusted. And perhaps that quiet trust has been the real gift all along. Even now. Somewhere beyond today's horizon. Another unseen page is turning. It carries a meeting that has not happened. A sentence that has not yet been spoken. A gentle moment that will seem almost too simple to remember. Yet when it arrives, your heart will pause. Not because every mystery has been solved, but because something inside you will quietly recognize that you have been growing into this moment all along. And after that, another whisper will follow. Another step will appear. Another peaceful chapter will begin. Because this journey is still unfolding. And the softest truth has yet to find its perfect moment to be heard. The day continued as quietly as it began. Nothing around you seemed unusual. The sun crossed the sky. The hours moved gently forward. People hurried from one place to another. Yet beneath all of it, something peaceful continued to unfold. Not outside you. Within you. And that quiet change would become more important than you could yet understand. Another layer is waiting. There is a reason some moments seem to slow down. You look at the clock. Only a few seconds have passed. Yet your heart feels as if it has traveled much farther. Those moments are gifts. They remind you that life is more than rushing from one task to the next. Sometimes the most meaningful step is the one taken with a calm spirit. Could today hold one of those moments for you? The answer is still gently hidden. Have you ever noticed how hope returns without asking permission? You may spend hours feeling uncertain. Then suddenly, a single peaceful thought appears. Nothing outside has changed. Yet everything inside feels lighter. Hope often enters like the first light before sunrise. Quiet. Patient. Impossible to stop once it begins. Still. Its brightest morning has not yet arrived. There is another question resting softly inside your heart. What if I cannot recognize the moment when it comes? Do not worry. The moments meant for your growth rarely demand perfect wisdom. They ask only for an open heart. You do not have to understand every step before taking it. You only need enough peace for the next one. That has always been enough. Another truth is beginning to unfold. Imagine holding a small lantern during a long walk at night. Its light reaches only a few steps ahead. Not the whole road. Not the distant hills. just enough to keep moving safely. Many people wish for daylight before they continue. But journeys of the heart are often made by lantern light. One quiet step. Then another. Then another. And somehow the destination grows closer. Even when you cannot see it, the path still continues. There is someone who once believed they had lost everything important. Years later, they looked back and discovered they had actually been making room for something far better. At the time, they could not imagine that possibility. Their tears were real. Their questions were honest. But so was the peace that slowly followed. Life has a gentle way of revealing new beginnings after seasons that felt like endings. Perhaps your own story carries that same quiet rhythm. But another piece remains unseen. Your heart has become more gentle than it used to be. Not weaker. Gentler. You notice people who are hurting. You speak with more kindness. You pause before judging. You understand silence in ways you never did before. Those changes matter. More than titles. More than applause. More than anything the world can measure. The greatest victories are often invisible. Another layer is waiting. There may soon come a conversation that seems ordinary. A few simple words. Nothing dramatic. You might almost forget it by the end of the day. Yet something inside those words will remain with you. Like a seed resting quietly beneath the soil. You will not see it growing. Not right away. But its roots will begin reaching deeper than you expect. Sometimes one sentence can change the direction of an entire season. Still, its meaning has not fully opened. If you listen carefully, you may notice that your fears no longer speak as loudly as they once did. They still visit. But they do not stay as long. Peace has begun taking up more space. Not because every question disappeared. Because your heart has learned that unanswered questions do not always steal tomorrow's joy. That lesson is rare. And beautiful. Yet the deepest lesson is still ahead. As evening settles once more, do not measure this day by what you completed. Measure it by what you became. Did you choose patience one more time? Did you offer kindness when it was easier to stay silent? Did you notice one small blessing that yesterday escaped your attention? Those quiet victories shape a life more deeply than you know. They become the unseen threads that hold tomorrow together. And still, one final doorway stands before you. The gentle protection that began this journey has never been about keeping every challenge away. It has been about leading you through each season with a heart that grows steadier, softer, and stronger. You may never see every unseen turn that happened on your behalf. You may never know every moment that quietly shifted. But perhaps the greatest gift is not complete knowledge. Perhaps it is waking each day with a peace that whispers, "You are not walking alone." So as night approaches again, let your heart become still. Release the questions that cannot be answered today. Hold close the hope that asks for nothing except your willingness to keep moving forward. Because somewhere beyond this quiet evening, another gentle moment is already making its way toward you. Another unexpected smile. Another peaceful pause. Another page waiting to turn. And when that page finally opens, it will not end this story. It will simply invite your heart to discover another whisper that has been waiting all along. For the journey is still unfolding. And the quiet light has not yet finished revealing where it will lead.